You created the biggest social networking platform in the world. What's your best networking advice for anybody in business?
The key thing is think what you can give someone. So what's something that you could do that would help them? So for example, Satya Nadella started calling me because I'm like, oh, here's what you need to understand about Silicon Valley. And he's like, that's really helpful. That helps me as Microsoft engage with Silicon Valley. And similar, when talking to Bill, I don't say, hey, Bill, you're just so great. He is great. But it's like, oh, here's something that's going on in the modern world of tech. Like, here's something about AI that I see that you may not have seen yet.
So has Bill Gates become a friend of yours?
Yeah, Bill's great.
What do you notice about these people? Among the most successful people that you've gotten to know really well, what do they all have in common that's enabled them to be part of that 0.00001% of the top 1%?
Well, there's three different things I'm going to say. I'm going to give you three. So one is curiosity. So like intensely wanting to learn. That's like Satya, Bill. Another one is just raw grit and kind of like, I am going to make this work, right? This is a whole stack of different people, but like, for example, Patrick Collison or others. Then the last one is kind of understanding what do I understand about the world that other people don't understand? And that's a little bit like, for example, frequently Peter Thiel as the contrarian hypothesis.
You think a lot of networking is bullshit?
The networking is bullshit that's kind of like, hi, I'm Reed, here's my business card. The thing that's real is forming connections where actually, in fact, we are really helping each other.
What's the biggest mistake you see people make when they are trying to network with other successful people?
They ask for something versus offer something. So it's like, hey, what can you do for me? That happens all the time for people. It's like, no, here's something that could be useful to you. And by the way, maybe you're wrong, maybe it's not useful, fine. But when it is, you get attention, you get the beginnings of a relationship.
You were talking about 2/3 of the people that have told you no in your network.
Yes.
You were part of the PayPal mafia.
Yes.
Can you explain what that is to people that don't know?
I always say PayPal network, but PayPal mafia is sexier, so people really go with it. And it's basically the crew of people who turn PayPal from an encryption system on mobile devices to a worldwide payments network.
You were a huge role in PayPal getting acquired for $1.5 billion from eBay. What's your best negotiation advice for any entrepreneur in business right now? You've been at the table with some very heavy hitters. Give me your best negotiation advice for anybody in business.
So the right way to think about it is companies are bought, not sold. So if you're selling, you have a problem. You want them to come in and buy you. So the question is, how do you get that to be their idea that they are coming to buy you?
I hadn't heard that perspective before, that they're bought, not sold.
Yes.
How did you get in that mindset shift?
Well, it's because part of the thing is, it's like the dynamic. If you show up, just like you show up to a venture capitalist and you say, hey, I'm trying to sell you on this thing, then the person kind of rolls back and they're like, okay, now this is me being powerful. You're trying to sell your company to me. Whereas like, oh, well, I could be selling to somebody else and I've got this thing that I'm doing. And it's like, no, I want that. You got to think of the psychology of the person.
So I want you to think back to you throughout your career real quick. What is the best advice you ever got from a mentor?
So weirdly, it's from my dad, and it was when I was in high school. He said the difficult thing about making decisions is that you reduce opportunity in the short term, because when you make a decision, you've chosen door A and not door B, but it's the only way you get opportunity in the long term.
And what's the most difficult decision you made that paid off?
Oh, wow. Probably starting my first company, SocialNet. And by the way, SocialNet didn't pay off, but it got me into the